P.1 Homework, Part 1. Evaluate 10x minus y for x equals 8 and y equals 6. This tells me that x has a value of 8, y has a value of 6, and I have to take these two numbers and substitute it in for the x and the y. So we have 10 times x, and I'm going to put an empty parenthesis there to hold the spot for that variable, minus y. I put an empty parenthesis there to hold the spot for the variable y. Now, x has a value of 8, so I'm going to fill in that empty variable spot with the value of 8. This empty variable spot is for y, so I'm going to fill it in with a 6. Now we can do the math. 10 times 8 is 80. 80 minus 6 is 74. Or we can go to our calculator and we can type it in exactly the way we see it. 10 parenthesis 8, close our parenthesis, minus parenthesis 6, close that parenthesis, and the calculator will handle it. It's 74. Number 12, evaluate x squared minus 4x plus 6 when x is equal to 6. We do this problem exactly the same way we did number 1. I am going to rewrite it with an empty parenthesis everywhere there's a variable. So we have the empty parenthesis squared minus 4 times the empty parenthesis plus 6. And now I fill in my empty spots with the value of the variable. So we fill in 6, and what we have is 6 squared. 6 times 6 is 36, minus 24 plus 6. But we can type that in our calculator. Parenthesis 6, close the parenthesis, and here is the square button. Subtract 4, 6 plus 6. And the answer is 18. Number 13, evaluate 9 plus 9 times x minus 6 to the third power. So, 9 plus 9. Now we have this parenthesis, the big parenthesis, that's to the third power. But then we're going to put an empty parenthesis there for the x minus 6. The empty parenthesis gets filled in with the value of the variable, which is 9. And now we can type this in exactly the way we see it. With all the double parentheses and everything, we have 9 plus 9, parenthesis, parenthesis, 9, close parenthesis, minus 6, close parenthesis. Now we have this raised to the third power. There's not a button. Now this one automatically raises to the second, but there's not a button that automatically raises to the third. When we have a power other than 2, we use this button with the square there in the variable spot. And it raises it to the power. And we have an empty box we need to fill in with the power of 3. We hit enter, and our answer is 252. Number 14, evaluate this fraction with x and y variables, and we're told what x and y are equal to. So rewrite it with empty spots for every variable. And now we're going to fill in those empty parentheses. The first empty parenthesis represents x, and x is negative 5. The second one represents y, and y has a value of 1. In the denominator, our empty spot is representing y, and y has a value of 1. Now we can type this in or we can evaluate it. We can do the multiplication. Our calculator handles that fraction. It handles the negatives. It does everything we need. So above the 7 key is a fraction button. So because this is a fraction, we're going to start with the fraction. Now we're going to type in our numerator, 2 parentheses. Now that's a -5. The subtraction sign is not the negative button. The negative button is located down here next to the decimal. This is our negative. So -5, close the parenthesis, plus 2, parenthesis 1, close parenthesis. We've typed in the numerator. Now we're going to use this navigation button to go down. Push the bottom part of that silver button. It takes you to the denominator. We have 6 plus 6, parenthesis 1, close our parenthesis, hit enter, and the answer is -2/3. Now when you enter this fraction in My Math Lab, you can enter that negative in front of the whole fraction or with the 2 in the numerator. So this answer can be entered as -2/3 or -2/3. That negative can go in front of the whole fraction or just in front of the numerator.